What up, y'all? It's your boy. I told you I'd be making this video. It's Lucas. I'm be making a Breaking Bad Iceberg video today, and we're gonna go through all the tiers. I'll put a picture of it on screen. It is a very long one. It's gonna be a long-winded video, so grab a snack and sit back and enjoy some Breaking Bad content. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to user Trixie is Sinking on Reddit for this iceberg. You did an amazing job. So tier 1's gonna be pretty basic stuff. I'm not really gonna dwell on it too hard just because there's not much to dwell on. Also, I will be skipping some from the top just because they're quotes from the show. Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, and El Camino. This represents the chronological order of the show and the events that take place in them. Breaking Bad references in Better Call Saul. There are plenty of them if you just look out for them. Characters like Hank and Tuco are in both the shows. Jesse Pinkman's graffiti even appears in a phone booth. I don't see many people talk about that. AMC educational videos, from what I could find, this is like Gus's Los Pollos Hermanos training video, DEA training video with Hank and Gomez. I thought these were really cool. You should check them out. The theory that Breaking Bad is a prequel to Malcolm in the Middle. Don't even come at me with this stuff. This really doesn't have any proof to it. It's just some people say because Bryan Cranston is the main actor in both those shows. This is the theory that Breaking Bad is actually a sequel to The Walking Dead. A little bit more proof in this one, but it's still like not really that likely. I'll dwell on this a bit more later because there's other Walking Dead stuff that appears on here, but for now, just know that that's one of the theories that exists. Breaking Bad webisodes. In 2009, AMC made 17 mini Breaking Bad webisodes that really just give you some more insight on the characters. It doesn't contribute much to the story, but there's some really funny ones out there. Huel is the best character. This is an absolute fact confirmed by me, myself, that Huel Babineau is indeed the best character to ever exist in the Breaking Bad universe. Welcome to tier 2 of the iceberg. It's going to get a little bit deeper and a little bit less known. The iconic Walter White pizza toss only took him one take to do, which is very impressive. People don't talk about that enough. Probably one of my favorite scenes in the show. The narrative connection of Baby Blue. Vince Gilligan chose the song Baby Blue for probably a lot of different reasons, but it also represents Walter's true love. The one thing he was really successful with in his life, his meth making. Baby Blue's sales increase. After the airing of the final episode, the camera was panning out and it was playing the song Baby Blue. After the final episode aired, the song Baby Blue had a 3,000% sales increase. Breaking Bad just does that. Walter White is still alive theory. There's a theory that at the very end of the show, Walter White didn't actually die. You can see a police officer check his pulse, but the camera cuts to black before you can see his reaction. It leaves it up to a bit of interpretation, but then you realize in El Camino they announce his death on the radio. But it would have been a fun theory. Symbolism and the color of clothing that characters wear. Now, I have many TikToks on this if you follow my TikTok. Basically, colors mean a lot in Breaking Bad based on the color someone's wearing and the color they're around a lot. For example, if they wear a lot of yellow, then they're closer to the drug trade. And green usually represents something to do with money. Jane's death was foreshadowed. When Jesse is making breakfast in bed for Jane one morning, this happens.
You weren't supposed to wake up.
Ever?
And obviously a few episodes later, Jane ends up dying in her sleep. Jesse was supposed to die in season 1. Jesse was originally supposed to die in season 1, but the writers just liked his character too much. They decided he contributed way too much to the story just to kill him off. Plus, Aaron Paul's performance as him was just amazing. Breaking Bad merchandise in Albuquerque, New Mexico. There's a store in Albuquerque that sells a lot of Breaking Bad memorabilia and items. That's about all I could find on it. I would love to visit there sometime. Breaking Bad was originally written to be in California. It was supposed to be in Riverside, California specifically, but New Mexico has better tax laws, and why would you not want that? Plus, I feel like it's cool for New Mexico to have its own show. They don't have much going on there. The mural in Jane's room. This mural in Jane's room foreshadows the plane crash. It has the pink teddy bear that falls into Walter White's backyard, and the mural is falling down from the sky. The Fly episode is the lowest rated episode ever. Despite the masterful writing on the best episode in the series, this episode is the lowest rated Breaking Bad episode ever. In all seriousness, the episode was only made for budgeting reasons, so it makes sense. Hank lives alternate ending. This is referencing a scene they shot where Hank is seen crawling up from the dirt and telling Gomez he'll avenge him. He's gonna get those neo-Nazi scums. I don't know where they filmed this or why they shot it, but hey, it's pretty funny. The passing of Robert Forster. Robert Forster was the famous Ed the Disappearer in the Breaking Bad trilogy. Unfortunately, he passed away October 11, 2019, which was the same day El Camino premiered. Rest in peace, Robert Forster, you're a legend. Better Call Saul's original idea. Better Call Saul was originally supposed to be a comedy show, imagine that. But in a good decision, the producers decided to make it more of a drama for character development. Very smart decision. Breaking Bad references in The Walking Dead. Breaking Bad and The Walking Dead share the same network, so the creators are obviously close. For example, in this scene, you can see Walter's crystal sitting in Daryl's bag. Daryl also described a white guy that wore baggy clothes and says bitch a lot. Does that ring a bell to you? Not to mention the Heisenberg anthem in Fear the Walking Dead playing at a supermarket. Twisters. Twisters is the real restaurant used to portray Los Pollos Hermanos in the show. It has gained so much popularity since Breaking Bad. but they don't even serve chicken. I think they serve traditional Mexican food. Samarium. Samarium is an element on the periodic table that is mainly used to treat lung and prostate cancer. How this fits into Breaking Bad is there are 62 episodes in the series and it is the 62nd element on the periodic table. Vince Gilligan, you sly dog. Nacho referenced before Better Call Saul. When Walt and Jesse kidnap Saul and take him out to the desert, he screams about Nacho. He pleads with them that he is a friend of the cartel. Reservoir Dogs. Breaking Bad has a lot of similarities with the great movie Reservoir Dogs, including two characters going by Mr. Pink and Mr. White, and even having the movie end with Mr. White dying and Mr. Pink getting the hell out of there. Does that ring any bells to you? And this is tier 3 of the Iceberg. We're about halfway through. Fallacies by Twathammer. This is a song by Jesse and Badger called Fallacies and their band Twathammer. There's even a music video of Badger singing and Jesse directing. It's a great video. Hank banged another girl. This is something Hank said to Walt right before he got married to Marie. He said he had oral sex with a woman named Joan Crawford the night before the wedding. But it is heavily implied that it is a drag queen and it was at a gay bar. 3828 Piermont Drive. This is the real life address of the house that was used in the show. They have a serious problem with people coming by and throwing pizzas on their roof. All I know is I wouldn't want to live in that house. They'd probably get harassed every day. Do you want to build a meth lab? This is a parody of Do You Want to Build a Snowman, except, you know, meth lab. Very reasonable. There is no use of the word bitch in the entire script of El Camino. This fact just blew my mind. With how much Jesse says bitch in the first 3 seasons of Breaking Bad, there is none in El Camino. This gotta show some character progression, right? At least, probably. Bill Burr is a die-hard Breaking Bad fan. I couldn't find much on this one, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's really cool that he's a die-hard fan and he got to be in the show later on. I'm gonna be in Breaking Bad one day. I can be a Huel stunt double. Sliceless pizza. This is referring to the pizza on the roof scene. Vince Gilligan and the rest of the crew forgot to slice up the pizza before they threw it on the roof. Funnily enough, they played off by adding in a line that Badger says later. Black bands worn during Say My Name. The crew members and the writers all wore black wristbands the day of filming Say My Name. They did it as a tribute to Mike, who's Jonathan Banks' character in the show. He would unfortunately get shot by Walter and be killed in this episode. Clovis cameo in Better Call Saul. From what I can find, Clovis returning in Better Call Saul is more of a theory than something that's actually happened. I really tried to find more on the topic, but I just couldn't find anything. People don't care enough about Clovis. Sorry, Clovis. The meaning of Felina. Felina represents a few different things, but the main thing is that Fe stands for iron, Li is lithium, Na is sodium. These are the 3 major components in blood, meth, and tears, which perfectly sums up the show. Felina is also an anagram for finale. Dean Norris spoils the finale of Breaking Bad. Dean Norris was in an interview when he was asked how the show ends. He pulls out a script that he wrote himself and goes on, talking about how Hank caught Walter, and Walter even saying that Skyler always loved Hank more than himself. Not to mention he has flowing blonde hair throughout this entire scene. Kevin Cordasco. Kevin was a huge Breaking Bad fan, but at 10 years old he was diagnosed with neuroblastoma. He came up with the idea of reintroducing Gretchen and Elliot back into Breaking Bad in season 5. Unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 16. The episode Blood Money was dedicated in his name. Zafiro Anijo. I probably just butchered that, please ignore it. This was the tequila brand that Gus would eventually use to poison Don Eladio. They had to make up their own because no company wanted to be seen in that nature. And considering everyone dropped dead after drinking it, I wouldn't want my company to be seen like that either. Huel is still in the safe house. Huel Babineau is never seen after his last scene in the safe house. And there's no evidence saying he left, so presumably he's still in there. Although at some point you gotta figure he heard the news of Walter White's death. There's no way he's still in there, right? Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. This is the book that Hank finds in Walter's bathroom with a signed note from Gale. It finally allows him to connect the dots and figure out that Walter White is Heisenberg. The book itself explores concepts of complete freedom, which probably has some type of reference to the show considering Walter broke out of his chemistry teacher chains and became a world-renowned meth dealer. Better Call Saul pitched during season 3 finale of Breaking Bad. A Saul spin-off was being considered as early as season 3 of Breaking Bad, but it really took fruition around April of 2013, which was just before the finale of Breaking Bad had even aired yet. Howard Hamlin, originally called Bert. It's pretty self-explanatory that Howard Hamlin was originally going to be called Bert. I don't know what this has to do with anything or why it even matters. Alpine Shepherd Boy, originally called Jello. The episode of Better Call Saul called Alpine Shepherd Boy was originally called Jello, but for copyright reasons they couldn't name it that. SaveWalterWhite.com. This is a website showcasing the show made by Walter Jr. to raise money for his dad's cancer treatment. Creators made it a real website with a message from Walter Jr. and everything. Pressing the donate button will take you straight to the AMC website. Frings back. The first letters of each season 2 episode of Better Call Saul spell out Fring's back. And in the season 2 finale, who returns but Gus Fring himself? If you're at this part of the video, you're a legend. We're on tier 4. Chuck's death foreshadowed. While trying to help the judges understand Chuck's weird medical condition, Saul talks about how unsafe it is to keep a gas lantern right by a bunch of newspapers. And boy was he right. Also, earlier in the season, Saul threatens to burn Chuck's house down. A little weirdly specific threat, huh? Metastases, or metastasis, however you pronounce it. This is a Spanish remake of the show, except it was met with awful reviews. They basically copy and pasted the show in their own way, but missed a lot of key components, such as the amazing cinematography and camera work that was in Breaking Bad. They took it way too literally. The real life Walter White. There was an Alabama man that got arrested in 2013 for dealing massive amounts of meth. He was found to have over 30 pounds of the stuff. He was sentenced to 12.5 years in jail, which means he'll be getting out semi-soon. Y'all, this is me editing my video. How did I not mention his name was Walter White? Carry on. Season 2 ending based on real events. This one was a bit harder to dig up. In 1986, Aeromexico Flight 498 collided with a Piper Archer over California, killing everyone on board both planes. The name of the air traffic controller that was handling both flights? Walter White. It is crazy how many Walter Whites have done some crazy shit. The funeral of Walter White. This was a real-life event held at Sunset Memorial Park in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It took place about a month after the airing of Felina. It was also a fundraiser for healthcare for the homeless. Who said Walter White never did any charity work? They even had guest speakers come up and speak for Walter White, the real-life Saul Goodman. Howard Greenberg is a Brooklyn lawyer who tends to be more on the criminal side. He happily takes on criminals with terrible charges, not to mention a terrible past record. He defends them well, and half the time he gets them off the case. He has produced a very unusual amount of acquittals and dismissals. He even tells people on the street, better call Howard. There's a whole Vice documentary about him, and I recommend you watch it. There are Hank simps out there. A few of them even follow my TikTok account. Shout out Hank ___ Schrader. You're my guy. Aaron Paul had a dream about the Phoenix episode. Aaron Paul would sometimes dream as Jesse Pinkman, including one time where he dreamt waking up next to Jane. He tried desperately to save her, but he couldn't, and then he woke back up in real life. It's crazy to me that some actors will dream as their characters. That just shows how into the role they are. Possible Kim Wexler spinoff. Vince Gilligan said in an interview that if they were to do another spinoff, it'd be on Kim Wexler. He said he would love to dive deeper into her character and see more about her past. And I would be so down for this spinoff. I think Kim Wexler is such a cool character. Better Call Saul client development. This is an online comic showing the process of Saul Goodman discovering Walter White's real identity. It also has a small feature of Saul's character being portrayed like a Superman type superhero. That reminds me about the Attack on Titan Saul Goodman. That shit was hilarious. But read the comic, it's pretty good. Nacho's phone number. Nacho phone number. Nacho's phone number appears in the show as 505-242-6087. And if you call it, it goes to a voicemail saying that he's not available to get to the phone right now. Probably too busy dealing with Lalo. You guys seen the end of season 5 of Better Call Saul? I wouldn't be able to answer the phone either. Dom Margolis' suicide. In the episode Greenlight, it's revealed on the radio that Dom Margolis, who's Jane's father, just tried to commit suicide. All we heard was that he shot himself and he's being rushed to the nearest hospital. It is unknown what happened to him, but he's presumably dead. Mike was only supposed to be in one episode. Mike was only added as a character because Bob Odenkirk had prior commitments and couldn't make the season 2 finale. Everyone loved his character so much that they just decided to keep him around. And look what that turned into. Now he's like the secondary main character in Better Call Saul. Evil Juicebox Man. This is the nickname that writers gave Walter after talking about his backstory about how he poisoned Brock, saying that he went into Brock's school and gave him a poisoned juice box. Another cool detail is in season 5 when he went into Saul's office. You can see Francesca shredding someone's school documents. This is most likely Brock's school schedule so Walter can figure out what time to give him the juice box. The RV running over cow shit in the pilot script. In the original pilot script, the camera starts zooming towards a pile of cow shit, when suddenly an RV comes racing through it. Then it continues basically as normal. I just find it funny that the whole show was gonna start with a pile of cow shit on the road. Put $1 in my pocket. Saul tells Walter to put $1 in his pocket. After he does, Saul tells him that anything they say is now attorney-client privilege. This is why Saul's one of my favorite characters, always thinking outside the box. Brock was supposed to die instead of Andrea. I mean, that's kind of brutal. We never really find out if Brock does die in the show, if Todd kills him in that scene or not. I wouldn't put it past Todd though. We saw what he did to that kid on the dirt bike. Welcome to the final tier of the iceberg, baby. This is tier 5. This is some deep shit that you probably never heard of. The torture porn episode. Now bear with me because this is a long one. This is a scrap plot for an episode at the very end of season 1. This is in the same script where Jesse dies, but Walt captures the killer. He ties him up and rigs a tripwire with a shotgun so the guy can kill himself whenever he wants. Every day, Walter would torture this guy a little bit by cutting off a toe or maybe burning him with a blowtorch. And this goes on for days and maybe even a week. But one day, Walter Jr. ends up discovering him. He feels bad like any normal person would, and he attempts to give him water because the guy asked for it. But the man realizes that that's Walter's son, so he pulls the trigger of the shotgun, killing Walter Jr. and himself. The fact that this almost happened is crazy. Imagine a Breaking Bad where Walter Jr. and Jesse both die in the first season of the show. I'm kinda glad that didn't happen. That would just be way too much. What happened to Crazy 8's dog? This is a bit of a random one, but I'm with it. So Crazy 8's dog is seen in the episode where they're touring his house. It never explains what happens to the adorable pooch, but presumably he starved to death after Crazy 8 was kidnapped and no one was there to take care of him. Just a very, very, very sad ending for that dog. He didn't deserve it. Now, the big question, when did Walter White become Heisenberg? Now, some could argue it was after Crazy 8's death. Some would say it wasn't until much later. He didn't come up with the name until his season 1 meeting with Tuco. I can't give you a definitive answer, that's for you to decide for yourself. In my opinion, it was after he killed Crazy 8, and that's when he knew what the hell he was about to be doing. Thank you so much for sticking with me this far in the video if you're still here. That is the end of the Breaking Bad Iceberg. This is the first ever video on my YouTube channel. You know what, let's go for 100 likes. A little ambitious for my first video, but let's try and get it. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see y'all later.